Hello, and welcome to Handled Ish Productivity for the Imperfect, a weekly podcast for those who want to elevate their productivity but are not looking for perfection. I'm your host, Betsy Hayes, and I'm really happy you're here. Whether you're listening on your favorite podcast app or watching on YouTube or downloading the KC24 CBS 47 Plus app on your smart TV, I'm just really happy you're here. This is episode 86, and we're going to talk about putting the joy back in choosing a restaurant. So, this is another installment of my unofficial decision fatigue series. I'm calling it unofficial decision fatigue series because when I say the word decision fatigue, honestly, doesn't it just have like weight and make you have fatigue? And I've decided that phrase just doesn't work. I've pitched a couple of talks with the title decision, banishing decision fatigue, blah, 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 and nobody's bitten. And I think it's just because the concept is just so heavy, we just don't want to deal with it. So I'm officially going to rebrand that idea to making choices easier. So we're going to talk about making choices easier when it comes to picking a restaurant. So I think you probably know what I'm talking about here, right? You're with your family or your friends and you've decided you want to go out to eat and someone goes, where do you want to go? And they say, I don't know. Where do you want to go? I don't know. Where do you want to go? You pick, right? And it's just this whole thing. And by the time you pick a restaurant, it sort of takes a little bit of the joy out of going out to eat. Because let's be honest, going out to eat should be fun, right? Going to a restaurant with your family, going to a restaurant with your friends, frankly, going to a restaurant by yourself, all of it should be fun, right? There's no there's no innate anything that's negative about going out to eat. And so I think sometimes we sort of kill the joy a little bit with this whole figuring out where the heck to go. So I wanted to offer a couple of thoughts. And, some of these might resonate with you. Hopefully they do. Super curious if you also have this issue in your life and how you deal with it. So let's just take a unit of people that live together, right? Whether it's family, roommates, whatever. And you often go out to eat with them frequently. There's certainly you could all have I mean, this does involve conversations with the people you live with. So you could get together and go, hey, I don't know about you, but I'm kind of tired of not knowing where we want to eat and going, you decide, and all that silliness. So let's have a better system. So, one thing you could talk about is whether or not it's like a rotating basis, right? If there's four people, one, two, three, four, first person chooses, second person chooses, third person chooses, fourth person chooses. And that way, if after the first one, right, that regardless of whether it's scheduled or not, you're going to need to be the one that decides, where you go to eat. Obviously, again, you want to have some parameters, whether it's budget parameters or, what, I will never eat this type of food or whatever, right? Like you want to, again, have a happy time with the people you're with. So, put together a couple of loose rules, give everybody a number in the rotation. And then, every fourth time, if you live with four people, you get to decide. And the other three, you get to go to places that the other people decide. And then it's easy and then it's always fun. And you also don't waste time, right? Because sometimes this conversation can take 20 minutes or longer. And then, you're good. The other thing you could do is have a list of possibilities, right? And maybe there's someone in your family or that you live with that really would enjoy keeping this list. And as you go out into the world, you will maybe see a restaurant or you'll hear a commercial or you get a recommendation from a friend. You could put it on this list, right? And if you wanted to, you can even categorize it by like budget or by type of food, right? So that way, when you want to go out to eat, you can say, well, hey, what kind of food do you feel like, right? And if it's Italian food or Mexican food or whatever, you can just say, hey, here are three choices. And give the people you're with three choices. I have found that is a plenty big enough number to have everyone feel like they have agency in making the decision, but not make the conversation take forever, right? So, that is something that you can do as well. A little bonus to that. Oh, just real quick, let's go back to this can also be like at fast food too. This doesn't necessarily mean, going out and eating in a restaurant, although again, we want that to be joyful. And I think if you've sort of thought about some things ahead of time or given people responsibility ahead of time, I think this will be just so much more fun and easier. I didn't talk about, well, before I talk about fast food, I want to talk about if, it's not the people that you live with. And it's just you and your friends, right? And maybe it's a different set of friends each time. If it's a set of friends that goes out on a regular basis, you could do the same thing that you do with the people that you live with, right? Hey, let's figure out a rotation. Or you could even have like a restaurant rotation for a few months and then decide, hey, are we sick of these restaurants? Let's get some new ones. Or again, you could assign, the responsibility to different folks each time. Or have this list and again narrow it down to a couple of choices. So if the friend group is distinct and it's a regular sitch, then that obviously makes the other suggestions work really well. But often you will go out with different people, irregularly, right? Different groups of people, different just singular humans, and you might have the same problem. So again, if this is something that frustrates you, you could, have again those notes, right? That sort of running list of, and think about the kind of things that you do. Do you regularly go to coffee? Do you regularly go to lunch? Do you regularly go to happy hour, right? What are the things you regularly do? And have some thoughts premeditated. So that way when, someone says, hey, do you want to go to lunch? Where do you want to go? You can, again, just look at your little list of things that you've just thought about and being enjoyable ahead of time. And again, 2, 3 choices, right? Oh, what about X or Y? Boom, the person chooses, you move on with your life. And focus on what is important, which, yes, we want to enjoy good food. I'm a foodie too. I love food. I love good, tasty food. And I also know that relationships are more important than food. And so focusing on who you're with, the company, the ambiance, there's just, again, the joy, right? Again, going out to eat is supposed to be fun. So let's, really, really work on putting the joy back into it. Little side note on fast food, you could do the same thing, right? With you and the people that you live with. If you just want to go grab something, right? You could have again another thought process on that category, right? If we're just going to go grab something, what is it going to be instead of, I don't know, do you want X or Y or whatever, right? I guess the bottom line is to talk to the people that you regularly eat with. And especially if they share this frustration with you, that this back and forth, I don't know, is annoying, then they will be much more ready to work with you. And if it's not annoying, they will probably still be ready to work with you because everybody loves to make, the restaurant experience better for all of us, right? So I think that will be helpful. A little bonus thing is you can also decide what you want to eat before you go. And this will also add to the joy of going to a restaurant because, again, you won't be focused so much on the menu and, what are you having? What are you having? Blah, 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 right? You can just, sit down and make a choice and then, again, focus on the company and then the delicious food that you've already chosen to order. Obviously, you can do that ahead of time, specifically by looking at restaurant menus and this and that. If when about you're going to a restaurant ahead of time. If you don't, and it's just sort of, again, you decide on a Tuesday night that you're going to Mexican food, you're going to this particular restaurant, and deciding what to eat is annoying to you because you feel like you spend too much time worrying about it. If you don't, then just ignore the next minute or so. But for a lot of people, I see a lot of people when I'm going out to eat with them. It's just I don't know what to get. What are you getting? And it does. They just want to make the best choice, and I get that. Although I feel like it's providing a little bit of stress for them. So you could, if it's this type of restaurant, I'm going to either choose X or Y. Cool. If it's this type of restaurant, X or Y. If it's just sort of a miscellaneous, just standard restaurant with like burgers and sandwiches and pizza and salads, I will look for either X or Y, right? So that way you still have autonomy. You still can like do what you're in the mood for. But you narrow down your choices so you can make a decision more quickly. You can make a decision you're going to like, and then you can again focus on the people and the food itself, not the choice of the food, and everybody that you're with. And oh, I mentioned fast food a second ago. Oh wait, I think we talked about that already. So I think we're good. Okay. Sorry, I'm recovering from stuffiness and this air is not great and blah blah blah. So my cognitive processes are not super on point this week. But I'm hopeful that this provided you with some good stuff as far as putting the joy back into choosing a restaurant. Again, I'm super curious what you do and what strategies you use to make this work. And yeah, all right. Well, until next time, have the most amazing week. And remember, you are doing way better than you think you are. Trust me.